Welcome, friends, to the 51st episode of the Play On podcast. We begin tonight's episode by discussing Microsoft buying Mojang, creators of Minecraft, for $2 billion. Xbox One was released in Japan and sold about 25,000 units. Titanfall was the number one game with 9,000 units sold. Pat tells us about attending Bit Bash in Chicago and testing out Oculus Rift. Destiny was released yesterday and Anthony shares his experience playing it. The gang will also talk about the controversial Gamergate. We finish up tonight's episode with Pat's retro video game review, celebrating a certain system's 15th birthday. This is the Play On podcast.
Come bust a move where the games are played. It's chill, it's fresh, it's Play On.
Hey, listen.
I'm Commander Shepard.
Let's do this.
I think we're just getting started. I think there's some school children down the way you can go and find.
Hello, and again.
Get over here!
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 51 of the Play On podcast on PlanetArbitrary.com. I am your host, Pat B. of Pat's Retro Video Game Reviews on PlanetArbitrary.com. And joining me tonight, as always...
We are the three best friends.
Every time.
Anyone.
It's always dead.
Every time there's
dead
this
air.
hesitation of who's going to go. I'm trying to be polite and let you go first.
You're so gentlemanly. And then I always stop because I want to think of something funny or witty to say, which I don't.
We're the worst.
We're the worst?
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome,
We're
guys.
also divorced now.
Hi.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Hey, Pat.
We've been better.
Doing great. Doing
fine,
really
thanks.
good. Thank you.
Doing real good.
Doing
Real
real
good. Real good.
Well, this is 51. We get back into our regular grind
Back
here.
in the swing. We're
after-
back in our living room under a
Yeah.
blanket.
But
I mean,
the studio.
you know,
We're in the studio.
We're in the
Yeah.
studio. It's
We're in
the
cold
studio.
in the studio.
under
Yeah.
a blanket.
Yeah, after the 50th bash that we had out at Galloping Ghost.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
like
what, Doc
that.
Mack is a phenomenal person.
Oh my gosh.
He's
Unbelievable.
a really good guy.
Unreal. Yeah.
And I could listen to him talk for hours.
Yeah.
That podcast, the 50th podcast, we should have, that could have been a 5-hour podcast. Like, you could just talk to Doc forever.
Oh, yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, huge thanks to Doc and everyone out at Galloping Ghost for having us. If you guys haven't heard the episode yet, we went out to Galloping Ghost Arcade in Brookfield, Illinois, and recorded in the arcade and talked to Doc. We talked to Brandon Stennis of UGR Gaming. He joined us as well. So huge thanks to everybody for coming out and joining us there, and also huge thanks to Galloping Ghost for having us. So it was a lot of fun. We had a blast. I learned some things about going for world records on arcade games. So
Yep.
I know that I'm not going to use my emulator at home anymore.
Why?
If I'm not going to use it to practice for a world record score. I'm only going to practice.
Inaccurate.
Well, not that it's inaccurate. It's could be viewed as cheating by some, and I would prefer.
Really?
Yeah, I prefer to practice on the actual arcade cabinet. I feel like I'm earning it that way.
Yeah, you're not a mudblood.
Yeah, I'm not just
Wow.
sitting at home.
Those are powerful words.
That's our word.
That's our word. But yeah, I would want to practice on that machine and not just sit on my couch at home, beat the record, and then stroll into Galloping Ghost, be like, all right, here we go, and just
Yep.
breeze through it. I want that connection with that cabinet.
All right.
I want to do it legit.
Fair
That
enough.
makes sense.
So, yeah, so it was a lot of fun out there for the 50th. We've got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about for 51. I mean, we say it all the time, a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks, but a lot has happened.
For real.
The internet is like a completely different place now.
Oh my gosh.
The fappening happened.
Oh my God.
The fappening. What did you guys think? For those of you that have not heard or are not on the internet,
You've
the
heard.
fappening, maybe every celebrity that's ever taken a naked picture of herself
Herself.
got leaked on the internet
Okay, so
for all
what-
to view.
First of all, what are you doing keeping the naked pictures? Like, I get it. People like to take naked pictures, send them to whoever. I get it. Fucking delete them, okay?
Yeah, but some of those were deleted and somehow got recovered. One of the girls that was
Really?
hacked said that one of the photos was taken like 6 years ago
Oh, jeez.
at somewhere, and she's like, she even said that on her Twitter. She's like, I can't even believe that they found this photo. I don't even want to think about the creepy lengths the hackers went to get that
Right.
To
picture
get
back.
it, yeah.
So,
Well, and it was just funny because shortly, like it was like the next day or something, we had curriculum night at school. And so as an icebreaker with myself and my co-teacher and the parents, we just had these random questions and had the parents answer the questions. And so the question that I pulled was, if you were a celebrity, which celebrity would you be? And I love Jennifer Lawrence. Okay,
J-Law.
I love her.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, normally I would say Jennifer Lawrence, but not today.
Did anybody know?
One like
All the husbands.
Yeah, all the guys were like,
right? They're like,
Oh.
yeah. No, what like actually coincidentally the only dad that was there kind of laughed, and I think like, but I didn't really go into it, and I was like, so probably somebody else. I didn't really say anything. Probably like Jennifer Aniston or something. God damn it, Tillo.
What did you guys think of the fappening?
We're close enough in our marriage and our relationship where we discovered it at the same time while watching The West Wing, and I was like, "Can you pull up the pics? Can we look at them?"
Yeah, like, we were
'cause I
sitting
was,
there,
like, so
and I was
curious.
like, okay, because like every single post on Reddit was about like the naked pictures.
Not to
I was
mention,
like,
I kept
Jesus
getting
Christ.
text messages from like James, and he
Right.
was like, "Wow, today's just a really good day."
Right, so it's like they're all there, and then Anthony's like, I mean, let's check them out, So,
I'm curious.
yeah.
It was impossible to avoid them. They were printed in the
Absolutely.
newspaper the next morning. Like
Oh my
they
gosh.
were
They're
everywhere.
See,
Yeah.
I just don't feel sorry for them because I feel like it was their own fault. Like if you're famous, like you're running such a risk.
But you know what? They should be allowed if they want to take naked pictures.
No,
of
totally. I'm
themselves,
not saying-
they should feel secure taking those pictures.
Sure.
But at the same time, yeah, you're totally right.
Look
They're-
what happens though. They have
Yeah.
they have to consider that.
The
Like
second you text them, though, like
You're
you gotta
fucked.
assume that somebody somehow is gonna find that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna break up with that person or whatever.
Right.
Well,
like, that's just dumb.
What I thought was even crazier than that, and what went even deeper, was the Kate Upton photos, because her boyfriend is Justin Verlander, the pitcher for the Detroit Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like an item, Kate Upton and
Like
Verlander.
a thing.
But his iCloud was hacked, and there were a lot of photos of a lot of naked women
Oh,
that were not
jeez.
Kate Upton.
That's awkward.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, so it worked on a few different levels.
Yeah.
Good old cloud.
Well.
That was crazy. Yeah, I was playing video games that night that it happened.
That's shocking that you were playing video
Yeah,
games.
so I'm up and I was playing, and I was on my PC, and I was like, I got done playing. I was like, oh, I'll jump on Reddit for a little bit and see what's on there.
Do
and-
my daily search for nude Jennifer
Yeah,
Lawrence.
so I'm just on the front. I'm just on the front page. And I'm like,
Hoping
what
for
is?
the best.
I was like, what is this?
I'm feeling lucky.
It's like I saw the happening, and I was like, what is that even? And so I clicked on it, thinking I was going to a news article talking about it.
What,
No,
did it take you to the
it
subreddit?
took me to the subreddit.
Yeah.
And it was every photo, and I was just like, this is amazing. I was like, I feel terrible, but at the same time, it was like
Yeah.
a Rolodex of every naked celebrity photo out
It's
there. I was like,
unbelievable.
well, who else is in here?
I mean, yeah, like I'm not gonna come here and like just leave, like
Yeah.
you know.
It's like a
It was
train wreck.
funny, someone had said at one point, because I don't know if you guys read the comments in these subreddits.
No,
I
it's
actually
probably
didn't go into
Probably not
the,
a good bit.
Yeah.
Not a good idea.
Those were that was some of the greatest internet commenting in the history of the internet. The comments alone made the fappening just solid gold. It was unbelievable. Some of the things that people, and mostly it boiled down to, so that's what her nipples look like. and that was it.
Yep.
But it was funny because that subreddit had 25,000 some odd subscribers, but there were over 100,000 people lurking.
Oh
or
my gosh,
viewing.
creepy.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that, and then they took it down like right away.
Oh yeah, it got shut. I mean,
Right
those are
away.
like
Oh, yeah.
those are like the forbidden photos right now.
Okay, so they'll take that down. Okay, but then people were getting kind of upset that they took that subreddit away. But then there's this legit, like, because I of course checked it out.
Yeah.
There is a subreddit that's called "Cute Female Corpses,"
Oh my god.
Oh my, what?
and I am not shitting you. It is female dead bodies.
God, the
pictures.
internet's so
See?
weird.
And like that one has not been taken down, and that one is still
That
there. And that,
really-
like, honestly, like I can look at the WTF subreddit like for a long time, and that has some weird shit on it. Like sometimes it has dead bodies, and like you just okay, well I'm gonna switch. But so I legit like looked at it, and I thought I was gonna have nightmares that night.
I'm looking at you, and I
Yeah.
can see that you're seeing them now.
Why would
Yeah.
you-
Okay. Yeah.
Why
like
would
what
you
the
even-
hell?
What were you expecting?
I don't know. I know. That's exactly what I expected was dead bodies. But like, they were scary.
In a related note, but funnier.
Okay, good.
So Apple released the Apple Watch.
Oh my
They just
God.
announced their Apple Watch, and it was really funny because people were leading up to it. People were wondering how Apple was going to talk about like the iPhone 6 and security because they just had this iCloud leak with all the celebrity photos. But it was really funny because one of the comments was, they said like, "Oh, we're making you interact with your wrist in new ways," and somebody was like, "Yeah, with the iCloud leak," like it was just it was so funny.
Good one.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, so we're gonna get those watches, huh? January 2015.
It's early 15.
That sounds like our 1-year anniversary. So
yeah, there
Perfect.
you go.
Just saying.
Matching watches.
Matching watches.
So yeah, well, in addition to the fappening, there was also Gamergate. We'll talk about Gamergate a little bit because that's kind of really been a drag
Taken
on
over
the
the
gaming
internet
world.
for a little bit.
The internet is a whole different place now. It's a very weird, dark place at the
The
moment.
internet is into justice.
Yeah, it's strange. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Xbox One. We'll talk about BitBash. I was at BitBash Chicago, a independent game developer, I guess, party is what it wound up being. So I'll talk about that a little bit. I got to play Oculus Rift, so that was fun. And a big console birthday.
Oh my God.
A big console birthday. I'm going to let you finish, but this console is one of the greatest consoles of all time.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. So yeah, let's get into it. We'll kick it off with the news. Right away, Anthony, your guys, Microsoft.
Hey, Microsoft. They just little news article spinning around today that there's a rumor, which seems like it's going to be pretty accurate, that Microsoft is going to buy Mojang, which is the company that created a little game called Minecraft, and it's rumored that they're going to buy it for $2 billion. Even further into the rumor hole is that Notch himself reached out to Microsoft and said, "We're willing to sell to you if you want to buy it." So not necessarily that Microsoft was like, "We want to buy you," but he was kind of like offering up the company.
I wonder what the motivation
Wow.
for that
Yeah.
was.
I don't know
$2 billion
because
maybe?
he's making a lot of money. But yeah, he said the rumors that it's going to be for the $2 billion. But that is still like the most popular game, and people were, like I was reading comments in the internet because I liked it, but like I fell off the wagon, pretty quickly because after you kind of play around with it for a while. For me, it just kind of lost because it's like, well, yeah, I can do whatever I can in it, but that's it. There's no like real objectives and gameplay really.
Unless you're building a full-scale model of the USS Enterprise.
Yeah, or like any of the crazy things. So. But then I was reading comments and people were like, you have to understand that Minecraft is like this whole subculture, and like kids talk about it on the playground.
Yeah.
Like it's like this is what the thing is for so many people. Like, how Legos or toys or whatever was for us.
Yeah.
Like Minecraft is that. There's merchandise. There's everything.
It's cyber Legos.
So it will be curious to see what happens. And really, what does that mean if Microsoft buys it? Because it's on Sony.
every
I mean, it's on
platform.
all their platforms. So, like, what's it going to do?
I don't know what the future holds for Minecraft. I
Yeah.
mean, what do you do, Minecraft 2?
Right. Like, what do you do?
I don't know a spin-off game with whatever. I don't know what you would do, what more you could do with it. I mean, it's not going away. It's not going away anytime soon either.
People were talking about maybe Microsoft will put it or attach it to their servers, to those Azure cloud servers, because they do have a big infrastructure where you could just have like these limitless Minecraft arenas where people can like play together and stuff. But who knows?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's a lot of money.
It is. And throwing around that kind of cash, now that they've launched the Xbox One in Japan, Patway. Xbox One launched in Japan to literally tens and 20s of people.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it doesn't do very well. Microsoft has never done well in Japan, so I don't know if it's a shock to
Dozens
anybody.
of us.
There were dozens of us.
There were tons of photos released on the internet showing empty queue lines, and there were signs up, and they'd put cones out in front of game stores, and when it launched, nobody was there to buy it. As a matter of fact, stats are finally coming out. In the first 3 days it was released in Japan, its first 3 days of retail in Japan, it sold 25,000 units.
Ugh.
Now that figure is different everywhere you look. Some say it's 23,000, some say it's 24,000. The total I saw was 25,000, which landed it on the video game sales charts just slightly ahead of the 3DS.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did PlayStation 4 do in Japan? Do we know?
I probably could look that up.
I'm sure very well.
I'm sure it did well since that's their homeland.
Yeah, it's their home base.
Yeah.
Not as well as Nintendo though, right? Because Nintendo, that's like Nintendo
crushes.
country.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the video game charts and it's Xbox One, 3DS,
Yeah,
you know,
it's gotta be. It's crazy.
take away the Xbox One, 3DS is the number one selling thing. It was actually great talking to Angel Baker a little bit, friend of the podcast. Hello, Angel.
Hey.
He had mentioned
for the
that one
candy.
really cool thing about his trip to Japan is that when he came back home, his 3DS was full of street passes,
Oh, cool.
full of them.
Yeah, nobody uses that here.
Yeah, you know, he was saying that he picks up maybe one or two randomly, occasionally in the States, but he said in Japan it was just like every other person just boom, 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 boom,
Wow,
boom. He was getting
weird.
hit crazy. So it's cool. It's a very connected society over
Yeah,
there.
it is very
I want to
cool
be part
over
of it.
there. I want to be part of it.
The number one selling game for the Xbox One in Japan. What do you think it was?
I don't know. Was it like one of the dancing ones or Connect Sports or something?
No,
What was it?
Titanfall.
Wow,
Really?
good.
Titanfall was the number one selling game in
Wow.
Japan for the Xbox One,
Good.
with almost 9,000 units sold.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's pathetic.
isn't it?
That's that's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah, that's it's pretty crazy, and yeah, really nobody cares that it's out over there,
And
and
it's not surprising.
yeah, it really isn't. So poor Xbox One.
Wah, wah.
Yeah,
One day.
Yeah,
One
below
day.
after that, it was Dead Rising. I believe was the second one, and one of the Forza games. Forza was one, but I think it comes with that. So
God.
yeah, really soft launch over there. Kind of surprising.
Limp launch.
Yeah, yeah.
Real limp
Yep.
launch.
Yeah. So, let's see. Moving on. BitBash. If anyone knows about BitBash, if you don't know about BitBash, Adam, friend of the podcast and life friend,
Real friend.
yeah,
true
real friend Adam, who is now kind of, I guess, the unofficial official correspondent of the Play On podcast.
That's right.
He had messaged me about a something called BitBash in Chicago, which was a independent game developer convention of sorts, and it was held at the. Are you guys familiar with threadless tees on the internet? Threadless T-shirts.
Yes.
Shut your mouth.
It was held at their headquarters in downtown Chicago.
I fucking love
I didn't know that
threadless
their
tees.
headquarters was in Chicago.
It's there. And that's where they had the game convention. As a
God
matter of
damn
fact, it
it.
was in their warehouse. So there was literally just huge shelves of just endless rows of shirts.
Wow.
And then they had T-shirts hanging from the rafters all over the place. And they had DJs and it was more like a video game rave.
Oh my
But
god.
could you touch the shirts?
There were shirts for
They're
sale.
so soft.
There were
They're
shirts for sale.
so soft.
Aren't those the ones
Yeah.
that ship from like overseas?
No, those are
Is
other
that
ones.
busted
I don't
too?
know. They had a
No, those
they,
are QWERTYs.
they had a ton of them at the headquarters.
They have a
free
lot
t-shirts?
of hilarious
I
shirts.
did not get any shirts while I was there.
Oh, you
I
really
got some
missed
stickers.
the boat.
Yeah, I
Some
got some
stickers.
stickers. Got some
Nice.
stickers.
Mm.
But it wasn't about the shirts. It wasn't about the merch. It was about the games that were there.
Was it? Okay, no.
Yeah. There was some very cool things on display at BitBash. One of which was Oculus Rift.
Yes.
Oculus Rift was there, and I got to play it.
That's
I played it
awesome.
for about 2 to 3 minutes, roughly.
Did you
There-
throw up?
I didn't throw up, but I could see how that would be disorienting for somebody to
Oh,
play
really?
it. Oh, yeah, because it is by far the most immersive thing I've ever experienced as far as video games go. It's almost like you're peering into another world. It's
Weird.
very bizarre. When I put it on, I mean, yes, the screen is somewhat pixelated, and it wasn't a high-quality, high-resolution screen. It was the first-generation Oculus Rift headset that they were using. And I played a game called Dumpy, which you play as an elephant. And, yeah, you play as an elephant.
Oh my
and
God.
when you put the headset on, what you see is the elephant's trunk hanging down, and you swing your trunk around, knocking stuff over. So
Oh
you
my
knock over,
God.
like, you can hit soccer balls, you can hit cop cars, you can and UFOs fly in, and you can hit those. And you kind of ride on a rail, and all you do is you swing your head around, and it swings your trunk around, and you hit stuff.
Is it accurate?
It is accurate. They even had the headset dressed up with like some balls, like some little inflated balls that were
Balls.
attached to
Balls.
the front of the headset, so you had a sense of momentum. So
cool.
you felt like there was this heavy thing hanging on your face.
Weird.
It was it was crazy playing it.
Did it make you dizzy?
It didn't make me dizzy, but what was weird is I felt like I was very high above another world. Like I was having an out of body experience, and I was looking down on somebody.
Weird.
But what was weird is you kind of look around, and then you realize that the movement isn't the game moving around for you. That's your head. You're looking around. So I had to realize, I was like, oh, I can look around anywhere in this world. Wow. So at some points, I was looking behind me. I was looking down on the ground. I was looking up at other stuff. I mean,
Oh man.
you can look anywhere. So it was really weird. It was like a window into another world. It was bizarre. It took a little getting used to, but I could totally see how that would be cause all kinds of motion sickness and vertigo
Yeah.
and whatever.
And like I
Running
bet
into
there were more
walls.
colors than just red, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't wireframe red and black graphics. I
No?
mean, it was totally all in color. But I mean, it's crazy.
Wow.
It's very, very crazy, and I can see now why so many people are excited about it. I can see why Facebook would want to be a part of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But using that for other for like a first-person shooter. I know I was talking to Adam about it, and he had mentioned that they had a proof of concept version of Team Fortress that they were working on, and people were saying that they was making them sick.
Of course.
That people can't really agree on how that should be controlled, because if you're basically taking the look function away from the mouse and making that your head,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, it's weird because you're not moving. So, like, you're
Yeah.
moving in game, but you're looking around. I feel like that
Exactly.
would be disorienting.
Well, and
much.
the movements you're making with the mouse are so fast that now you have to
Right.
make those movements with your head. I mean, you're constantly whipping your head around, looking around. I
makes
mean,
me dizzy just thinking
Oh,
about
I
it.
can't even think about
yeah,
it.
the Rift can keep up. It certainly can. I mean, there was no, choppiness or lag, and
Wow.
I mean, it just moved with my head. So that's why it was very, very strange to look through the thing. But if you have to do that really fast over and over and over
Yeah.
again, because it was weird just swinging a big heavy trunk from side to side, hitting very
Well-
slow-moving soccer balls.
But if you if you think about it in real life, IRL, if you just move
ARL.
if you move your head back and forth, if you move your head quickly from side to side, looking around at things all around you, you're gonna get sick. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not comfortable. So
Yeah,
if you're
it's not
in a
normal.
video game doing it,
Oh, totally. I would puke. I'd
Yeah.
probably
Sure.
puke. I get
Like,
motion sickness.
I don't even get motion sickness, and that would make me sick.
Because
Yeah.
what's different is in real life, your eyes are moving, not your whole head.
Yeah, and
So
that's
if they
probably
could,
it.
if they could figure it out, so like when you're moving your eyes, it moves. Now we're talking.
But
Now we're talking.
even then, say if you have a racing game,
Uh-huh.
say you're sitting in a car, you can look around all in the car, but then
That's
the
cool.
car is going 150
Yeah,
miles
that's-
an hour.
that's really cool.
You're
Right.
looking around inside a cockpit at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything outside of that cockpit is just a blur.
Mm-hmm.
It's very weird. That's a lot of different motion, and it would be weird to be fully immersed in that with a headset on like that.
Yeah.
I see it being
it's
good
strange.
for Minecraft.
Oh yeah, Minecraft.
Perfect for Minecraft.
Absolutely, yeah, it'd be huge for
You hear that, Microsoft?
Nailed it.
Yep. Yeah. But I mean, once I saw it and I took it off, I mean, my mind was blown. I was like, I can see why everyone is excited about it.
Wow.
And the things that you could do with it is just insane. So,
Would they like, Pat, please stop crying on the Oculus Rift? Your tears are fogging up.
well, Adam was lonely because we waited like 35 minutes to play it. There's
Uh-huh.
a big line.
Did you get conjunctivitis or?
Yeah.
Adam was like, before we got up there, he's like, we're going to get pink eye from this thing, just so you know.
That's how you get
Yeah,
pink
you
eye.
are. Yeah, you are.
But no, it was cool. And there were a lot of other very cool games. There was one game in particular we watched for a little while. And then we walked away from it when we saw people throwing up because they were drinking next to us.
Oh my god.
But there was a game called Relax Harder. And this game, what it was is, it's a light bar that's about 3 or 4 feet long or wide. And it's just a little neon light bar. And there's 2 colors, and I think it was green and pink. And they're split. Green is on one side and pink is on the other. And then you have 2 players sit down, one on one, they're next to each other. And they put on a headset that I believe measures your brain activity.
Oh my god.
And the point of the game is to relax as much as possible to reduce your brain activity. And as you do that, you fill the light bar
Cool.
with your color.
my God.
And the object
That's
of the
cool.
game is to fill the light bar with your color. So you can see this struggle between the 2 people because you have to sit there, you have to be calm, you have to relax your breathing and just be very calm and stare at the light and try and relax as much as possible. And you could see it going back and forth, people
Oh,
kind of
cool.
fighting.
What?
While this is going on, they have a guy that had like a megaphone
Mm-hmm.
that was yelling things at you to try and stress you out.
Jesus Christ.
To make you relax harder. So he was yelling at them, getting in their face, making fun of them, doing everything that he could to break your concentration while these people were playing the game. So it was intense to watch.
That's
it was
really
very
cool.
Bizarre.
So, but I feel like in that situation, the game is a lot more fun and a lot more hilarious. Like if you're, oh, well, we have this game called Relax Harder
Yeah.
at my house.
It would be like Annie wins because she falls asleep.
Yeah. I always win. at Relax
Annie always
Harder.
wins at Relax Harder.
Always.
Well, we were looking at it and I said, so now we got to figure out a place to put a 4-foot light bar in
Yeah.
our living room
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
That's hysterical.
See, but I mean, like, really, in that situation, it's perfect because they got the guy yelling at you with the megaphone, and people are drunk and like
Oh yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. It was a crazy little demo that they were running, and there were tons of other games. Heavy Bullets was on display there. That was a big one. And there were unnamed games that were still in development that were there. There was a really bizarre racing game that you had to cling to walls in order to advance, and it was there were a lot of crazy games that were there, but it was a lot of fun and a great event. There were a lot of good food trucks that were there.
Was Galloping Ghost there?
Galloping Ghost, I know. I mean, if they were there, I didn't see them. But yeah, there was just a lot of cool games that were on display. It was a cool event. They should have more of that out there.
Did you have to pay to get in?
Well, there was a recommended donation of $11.
Oh, that's not bad.
But we didn't have any trouble getting in. They had sent out an email that day saying get there before 7 because we're probably going to be full. We walked right in.
Nice.
But it was still decently packed, and there was lights and DJ. I mean, it was
Like a rave.
Oh, it was insane. It was super
But
loud.
that
But all
didn't
these
help
games.
with Relax Harder either.
No, well, that was out in the parking lot because they had the big bay doors open to their warehouse, so you could walk in and out of the warehouse. And so Relax Harder was out in the parking lot of the warehouse. And then a lot of the games were inside the warehouse.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a cool event.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. So let's see what else happened here. Moving on.
Could we just real quick talk because I just saw this about the golden Xbox One.
Oh
and
yeah,
PlayStation
that's right.
4.
Yeah, you
Oh
mentioned
my
this. Yeah.
So in Dubai, only in Dubai,
Of course,
limited,
Dubai.
yeah, limited edition. You can buy an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, 14 karat gold. Both of them are the same price, $13,600.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
That's exactly how much money.
The top comment on this Reddit post is, "What took so long? Now my solid gold Xbox One can finally match my solid gold Lamborghini."
And my solid gold suit and my solid gold house.
everything.
Oh my god.
That's hysterical.
That's really
I want to meet the person who buys
pointless.
that.
Oh,
I don't.
yeah.
God damn.
Kanye West.
Ugh.
Yeah.
No, he
Somebody
would want
with a
his
lot of
face
money.
like etched into it too.
Yeah, probably. Let's see. Moving on. Anthony.
Yeah.
You've been playing Destiny. Destiny has
Yeah.
been. Destiny is upon us.
Destiny's
Okay,
upon us.
so on Monday, so lately Anthony and I think Anthony said something about Welcome to 1999. Anthony and Annie are starting to watch The West Wing. So we on Monday, every evening we get very excited about coming home, eating dinner, watching The West Wing. So on Monday, he goes, "Okay, so tomorrow is Destiny Day." And I know what Destiny is because I look at Reddit and I'm on this podcast. And so so I knew that it was a video game, and he's like, "Here's the order of events." And so he tells me all about his day. Like, first I'm going to get to work early. Then at this time I'm going to go actually pick up the game. Then I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to blah, 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 blah. I'm going to come home. And he goes, "And you can either lay here on this couch. You can lay over there. You can lay over in the bedroom. But this TV is going to have Destiny on it all night." So,
Well, it's nice of him that he gave you
Oh, yeah,
options
no,
where you
I-
can
I
go in
gave
your
you
own
many-
house.
No, and
many options.
I'm not bashing it at all. I just thought it was funny that it was like, I don't care where your body is in this house. This is what I'm doing all night.
Thank you. Thank you for being a supportive wife.
You can do whatever you want.
The only reason is because it's so rare when my group of friends that I play on Xbox Live with, it's so rare that we actually can play, that we have a time where we can all play together. Used to be easy, like back before we had relationships and like everything else, and I lived
Before
with
you were
Eric,
adult,
and,
before
yeah,
you were adults.
before I was a grown up, like it was no problem. It was all the time, but it's like now it's like once every 6 months or something. So so my buddy James and Chris and I played Destiny. We all got it. Yes, the events was I left work at 10:30 to pick it up from GameStop. Came home to let it install throughout the day, download all the updates so that we could just blast right into it when we were off work. And so we played it most of the night. We played from like 6:30 to like 10:30.
And what do you think?
I like it.
Were there any problems?
No, that was the other cool thing is like usually on those day of releases, especially with multiplayer games, there's always like problems you getting kicked out of lobbies or whatever. But once we like hooked up, we like connected the three of us, we were matched together the whole time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really awesome. So we didn't have any problems. The game is fun. I don't know. My only concern is, so the how it works is kind of like a Borderlands, where you go out into this semi-open environment, and then and it's not really open world. So like each planet is its own level, if you will, but the levels are really big. And you go in there and you have different missions that you can do, or you can just run around and like shoot things. So like you go in there and you do the mission. The problem is a lot of the early missions are what we played in the beta. So we were all kind of like, oh, all right, well, we really played this, but whatever. And a lot of the missions are very similar, where it's like, go to this point, your little ghost thing is going to hack something, and while it's hacking that, you have to like defend it. Or like, go to this point and kill a bunch of guys. So it's so far, and we played for like 4 hours. It's very much like the same thing, no matter what you're doing. But we had a lot of fun because it has a lot of like RPG elements. It has a lot of MMO elements where like in between missions, you go to a main tower hub.
I hear it's a mix of everything.
It is. And like there was some comments that I was reading that I kind of agree with it. It does a lot of things well, but masters none. So, like Call of Duty masters multiplayer, or Halo masters campaign, whatever. But like this one kind of does a lot of things, but it doesn't really master any one. It's not broken in any means. It's totally a functional game. It looks really nice. It plays smoothly. But it's just like there's just those weird things where it's like, am I going to be kind of how people complain about Titanfall? Like in a month from now, are people going to be really excited about this?
Yeah.
The level cap on it is 20. And we played for 4 hours last night. We got to level 6. But there were people running around that were already at level 20. Like, the game had just come out that morning. There were people who were fully capped out.
Well, but, I mean, like, those people, you've taken a day off to play a game.
Totally.
I mean, like, they probably took the day off.
They took the day off. And, like, but even to take a day off and, like, to be maxed out is kind of disappointing because you're like, well, now what?
Yeah.
Like, there's stuff you can do. There's loot and different things.
You know what? I'll tell you now what. DLC.
DLC.
That's what's what.
That's what it is. So, I after playing for one night, I would give it like a 3 out of 5 Planet Arbitraries.
Oh,
it's not a bad game by any means.
3 out of 5.
Yeah,
really?
It's not a bad game, but it's really not great. It's not like the game of the year by any means.
Okay.
So I'll be curious to see what happens, in the coming months as people start getting irritated with it, or if some DLC comes out and like that's what's going to keep it alive. But what I did read was that it cost them $500 million to create it because they were creating a whole new franchise, $500 million. And I just read that they shipped $500 million worth of games to stores.
Okay.
And usually, the stores aren't going to order those unless they feel like they're going to sell them. So it's a pretty big accomplishment. It could be, right now it's saying that it's the biggest new IP release of all time for video games. So it could be really successful.
Yeah.
But whether or not, a lot of people go to trade it in at GameStop now will be the question.
Well, but see, what is that saying though when you say it's the biggest new IP release? Because years ago, there were so many new IPs.
Right.
There hasn't been a new IP like this on this kind of scale. I mean, aside from maybe Titanfall.
Right.
But Destiny had a much different build-up than Titanfall. Destiny's kind of been that thing like, oh, well, this is the game.
This is the game.
This is it.
Yeah.
So I mean, for it to be the biggest selling new IP, is that saying it's a really great game and it deserves those sales figures, or is it gamers are starved for a new IP?
Yes.
This looks like it's it, and everyone jumped on board.
That would be my gut reaction.
But that's totally fair to say though that it does a lot of things well. I'll take a new IP that does a lot of things well.
Absolutely.
So
it's not like it's broken, and it's not like when you're playing, you're like, this is so frustrating. It's fun, and like even sitting here talking about it, I want to go and keep playing it, because like I'm still in that early mode. But like when I hit 20, am I gonna want to keep going in and just playing? I don't know.
Yeah.
But Watch Dogs was the game that had the biggest new IP release, before this. So, and the things that both have in common are that they were on both the old and the current gen consoles, on both sides. So I wonder if it's a combination of people who have a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One just wanting something to play.
Yes.
Or what? Because to have two new franchises and also have so much criticism on both sides of like this game was a huge disappointment, but it sells really well. You know, like,
Yeah.
what's happening? Like, what's going on?
Well, and I'll tell you, when you were saying, will you continue to play this game past, once you hit level 20? I know with Watch Dogs, my goal was to reach 12,500 online notoriety points because I just wanted to unlock all the perks that were available.
Yeah.
The last perk is available at that point level. I hit that point. I have not played it since.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Like you hit that tier, and then you're like, okay, I'm done. Even with Titanfall, like I'll still play Titanfall a round or two every once in a while because I've maxed it out. So when I'm playing, I'm just playing for fun. But again, it's like one of those things where like I'm not playing with friends, so there's really no incentive to keep going back. And even with Destiny, I know now it's going to be even tougher to play. Like to have James and anybody else like have a schedule where we could sit down and play for a couple hours. It's not gonna be easy. So I don't know, but it is fun. Don't read any of the negativity that people are saying about, oh, this is a huge disappointment. Like, if you like first-person shooters, if you like RPGs, if you like MMOs, this is kind of a nice blend for a console game. Absolutely.
Well, and there's always going to be that element of people saying, oh, it sucks.
Of course.
Yeah,
It's a huge letdown.
yeah. Watch Dogs still deals with that, and that game is fucking amazing.
I beat the campaign
Yeah.
because I was playing it on the Nvidia Shield the past couple nights, and I finally beat it.
Say what you
It's
will
fine.
about broken graphics or whatever, but the fun, that online multiplayer, the online hacking contracts, that is some of the greatest multiplayer ever created in gaming. It is so much fun.
I have homework for you.
Okay.
When you go home, download a mod for Watch Dogs called The Worse Mod.
The worst mod.
The Worse, WORSE.
Okay.
Worse, the mod. It's a guy who found all the original bits of code in Watch Dogs from what it should have looked like on PC, like what they were showing at E3 and everything, like just gorgeous.
Really?
He went in there, he fixed it in, he like patched in the code, and he made it not only look amazing, but it actually plays better too for a lot of people.
Oh.
So download it. Like it's like all you do is you download it and you replace 2 files in the directory. It's unbelievable the difference it makes.
Really?
It's unbelievable. It looks.
I thought I
can
was
fire it up
free of
before
this
you
world,
leave,
and now I
too.
have to go back into it.
It's really cool. So download the Worst mod. It's really, really. It makes a huge difference. And people were saying like this is what it should have looked like
right.
on PC, especially when it came out. So
Crazy.
yeah, so do that.
All right, so Destiny 3 out of 5 Planet Arbitrary.
3 to 5. I
nice.
recommend it. If it's a fun little game. I just am hesitant if it's going to last that long.
Yeah. Well, that'll be interesting. We're certainly going to find out.
We're gonna find out.
If it fizzles away. So let's see. Moving on. All right.
Talk to me about your birthday party.
Well, we got what do we have for time left here?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Let's take a little bit of time here, really fast, to address the one thing that's going on in gaming right now, and that's Gamergate.
Gamergate.
Oh,
We wanted to talk about Gamergate.
Gamergate.
All right. So Gamergate. This is a very complex thing, and this will be hard. For anyone that is listening to this and is not aware of Gamergate yet, or has been curious about looking into it, there's a few things I want to say first to preface all of this. If you are just the average Joe gamer and you play your Destinies and you play your Watch Dogs and you just play whatever you play, and you don't really follow the world of gaming beyond that, you don't follow the developers personally, you don't read their blogs, you don't read their reviews, you just play the games and you're happy at that point.
Good.
You don't need to look into Gamergate at all.
No.
It doesn't affect you. You can carry on. For those people that read into it more, they follow the developers, they read their blogs, they read the things that they write. Game journalists, which that's something that's being tossed around quite a bit now. This affects you. This involves you. Gamergate, for those that don't know, and I'm going to get some of the details wrong on this, it is such a complex situation that it is difficult for me to go through everything and get it 100% correct.
Please don't threaten to kill us
Yeah.
if we get these facts wrong.
Exactly. Please. We just want to address it, and really I want to say one thing about it. And that's about all I have to say. That's all I have to say about that. Yeah. So Gamergate involved some female game developers and game bloggers that are well known in gaming. Zoe Quinn being one of them, and Anita Sarkeesian is another one. These two individuals, first off, Zoe Quinn made a game. She's a game developer, made a game called Depression Quest, received pretty good reviews. It was a good game. A lot of people, it's been hailed as a very accurate description of someone suffering from depression, and maybe even might be something to help people suffering from depression. So she made this game. Well, it was released. Her ex-boyfriend, she clearly had some problems with her ex-boyfriend. The ex-boyfriend went and posted a lot of very graphic details about their relationship and some things that she had done, posted this online. And some of the things that he had said was that Zoe Quinn cheated on him and slept with a lot of guys behind his back. Some of those guys were big game reviewers for mainstream media sources in gaming. And also accused her of trading sex for positive game reviews. This hit the internet, and it exploded. This was like an atomic bomb on the internet, because immediately there was no fact-checking. It was just taking this guy at his word, and everyone started talking about corruption in video game reviews, and the Zoe Quinn, how horrible a person she is for trading sex for game reviews. Turns out that might not even be true at all. If it is, I really don't care. Right. Because it's not even really any of our...
I don't care.
It's really not even any of our business. And if you need a game reviewer to tell you exactly what you need to buy...
Don't do that.
Yeah, look into it yourself. I mean, you can take game reviews for
as
what
we
you
just
want.
gave a 3 out of 5 Planet Arbitrary.
Exactly. But I mean, you can use them as guidelines, whatever.
Right.
That's fine. You can do that, and it's informative. And I love hearing people's insights about games, and I love reading game reviews. Shit, I've written over 100 game reviews myself.
Right.
But... how those get made, sure, there's going to be some corruption, and maybe someone's getting paid to say some good things. That's going to happen, but then it's up to you, the consumer, to make sure that you're looking at certain news sources, and knowing that these people are legit. Maybe those people, they tend to say some very sensationalist type things about every game that comes out. It's going to be awesome. It's the biggest game in the world, and then the next game comes out. It's going to be awesome. It's the biggest game in the world. I kind of came into this whole situation very naive when I read that, and I was like, what? Sex for game reviews? Like, no.
That's ridiculous.
No, they wouldn't do that. Like, I was so... I am that way anyways. Like, I was... like.
Is the word you're looking for naive?
Yeah.
Naive, yes. Yeah. I mean, I was the guy in, like, high school government class, like, President Nixon did what? Like,
No.
he's the president.
No.
He would never do that.
They're all honest,
God,
obviously.
He was set up. But no, so I read that. I was disappointed, sure, but I was like, man, well, I guess there's stuff going on behind the scenes. So be it. That's where it ended for me. For other people, it didn't end there. For other people, they had to express themselves, and they had to reach out to Zoe, and they had to tweet at her. They had to post things on Facebook. They had to send her emails and say what a shitty person she is. And that might be true. She may be a shitty person. We really don't know for sure. All we have is what this ex-boyfriend said. You can say she's a shitty person. One thing you probably shouldn't do, though, is threaten to kill her because of the whole situation. And she's come under fire.
Nobody deserves that.
She's received numerous death threats. She's been hacked. She's had all of her personal information posted online, including all of her banking information and her social security number as well. Her home address has been posted online, which people have latched onto. She's fled from her home, basically, and has been, from what I understand and what I've read, has been crashing on friends' couches ever since this happened.
That's so scary.
Yeah, all because an ex-boyfriend said some stuff that may or may not be true. And when it really comes down to it, it leaves the realm of gaming, and it's really just a domestic dispute between a boyfriend and girlfriend. It's none of our business whatsoever.
Not at all.
Yeah, and no one even knows if it's 100% true except for Zoe and the boyfriend.
Right.
Wow.
But no one deserves what Zoe's getting. The death threats and the things that are being said to her in public. Not anonymously either. I mean, these are legit Twitter accounts. There's certainly a lot of bogus Twitter accounts that were tweeting at her.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of real ones, and a lot of them were, you deserve to be raped and killed and left in a ditch.
I mean, come on.
Those are real tweets, and that's insane and completely unacceptable. And it's being flipped around as being portraying gamers as a whole as this hateful bunch, when really it's a very, very, very vocal minority.
Correct.
That's saying some of the most hateful, foul things that anyone could ever say to another human being, and and they think it's just acceptable. Some of the most hateful.
Unfortunately, the beauty of this country is that it is acceptable.
Yeah,
I mean, and I don't want to say acceptable. It's legal to do that.
It's just not the beauty. It's just the nature of the internet, unfortunately, because there's no responsibility. I don't know if that's the right word.
Accountability.
Accountability.
Mm-hmm.
For posting something on the internet that's so harsh.
But I think once you hack somebody and steal all their information, or
That's
they call it
uncalled-
doxing.
That's against the law.
That's
that's
against the law. And
Straight up felony.
yeah, and to force somebody basically into hiding out of their home because you don't like what they do for game reviews, if that's even true,
Right.
that's completely unacceptable, and
No.
that something should be done about that, and something should be done to protect these people. That's insane.
Yeah. The
So,
fact that so all of her bank accounts were like her social security number, right?
yeah,
Okay, so people are gonna steal all of her money. She can't even go to her house. She can't even
Yeah.
she can't. Okay, so now she has no money. People
Right. Her credit's
hate her
going to
so
be
much.
ruined forever.
Yeah, but she can't even go to her own house and eat her own cookies or anything. That sucks.
yeah.
That sucks.
Now, and the details of this, whether Zoe herself did all this stuff on purpose, for attention, whatever, it's irrelevant. The things that are being said to her, the threats that are being made against her, that's completely unacceptable, and it's totally ridiculous. And the fact that that's reflecting on the gaming community, the average Joe gamer, sucks even more.
Right.
And, Phil Fish, the developer of the very popular game Fez, kind of got mixed up in this a little bit. Think whatever you want of Phil Fish. Some people like him, some people don't like him. He spoke out on it and was basically, he quit game developing. He canceled Fez 2 and then tweeted at people saying, if you're an aspiring game designer, to just quit because the abuse isn't worth it. Don't even do it. There's no point in doing it. He quit. We're missing out. This is a guy that this is his career. This is what he loved to do at some point in his life. Made a phenomenal game out of nowhere. Made an unbelievable game. If you've never played Fez, you should play it. And then on top of it, he quits all of this over all of the abuse that game developers have taken, whether they're male or female. He quits and he cancels a game. Fez 2 was probably going to be amazing. So, the average Joe gamer, if there's an impact, there it is. You're missing out on some games because of the abuse, you're not going to get some games because people are saying, fuck you. If this is how we're going to be treated, then we're not going to make these games.
Right.
But at the same time, with Zoe, she doesn't deserve what she's getting. Now, Anita Sarkeesian, this is another one, and this is where the whole thing becomes very complex because there's a lot of overlap.
It becomes a web.
Yeah, it becomes a web. Anita Sarkeesian, she does a lot of YouTube videos about the portrayal of females in video games. These are harmless videos. These are videos that couldn't be any more than just saying, look at how big Lara Croft's boobs are. That's a little ridiculous. And kind of shows the ridiculous way that women are portrayed in a lot of video games. They're harmless. The comments that she's received have been on the level that Zoe's been receiving. She also has been hacked, had all of her personal information put online for everyone to see, and everyone's attacking her. Now, she also had a Kickstarter that she had started up to fund more the production of more of these videos. It got funded. She didn't come through and produce the videos. A lot of upset Kickstarter backers are kind of left out there with their money in her pockets, not getting any of the rewards, the things that you get on Kickstarter. And they're very upset at her for that. That's fine. You're entitled to be upset. You gave money for something and you didn't get anything in return. You can be mad. You can't threaten to kill that person, though.
No.
Which everyone's saying she deserves to die.
She
Same
does
thing.
not.
Just
She
like
does
Zoe
not.
Quinn, everyone's saying, rape threats. I want to hate fuck your corpse. Things like that. That's disgusting. And because you, threw $5 at a Kickstarter, entitles you to say anything at all beyond you're pissed that you didn't get your backer rewards or whatever, that's fine. You can say that. You are not entitled to threaten anybody beyond that, to say, well, you should fucking die. You know what?
No.
You should fucking die if you say that. So what she's getting, she's also kind of on the run now. All of her stuff's out there. She's being attacked. And, Zoe Quinn and Anita Sarkeesian, they're saying that, sexism has a lot to do with this. They're just being attacked because they're females. And that's certainly a large part of this. Some may disagree. Some may not. But the fact of the matter is that when you break it down is that there's some very real threats being made beyond just the typical internet hate. We've all faced it. I've faced it. I've never been threatened. My life's never been threatened. And these people don't deserve to have their lives threatened over any of this. Most of which, none of it is our business. The Kickstarter people, you can be mad you got ripped off. That's fine. But you know what? Suck it. You backed
really,
it. You don't get to say anything else beyond, hey, you're a shitty person. You stole money from me. You don't get to say you should die. You don't.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because we talked about in the last episode, like the bomb threats that were being called into the Sony president's plane and, the DDoS attacks and the stuff like that. And, it's unfortunately the video game industry has now become a victim to all this because people already think that this is like a children's game, right? Like that this whole like video games are just a child's thing, or like this generation is like, this is what we waste time on. This doesn't help the cause at all. This
Not at
really
all.
gives it a bad
Really
rap.
making us
No.
look bad here.
Yeah, I mean, look at, when an NFL player does something illegal, or when he, who was it that just
Ray Rice.
Ray
Right,
Rice.
right.
Yeah.
Like something like that happens and it becomes a public spotlight. But like, you don't read about the comments about people tweeting him that they're gonna fucking kill him and rape him, and like, it's just there's a maturity level that, and I understand. It's video games, right? There's a wide range of ages, but the maturity level, it just speaks really badly for everybody involved. It makes me feel ashamed to be like, yeah, I have a podcast about video games. Be like, like it's embarrassing.
It's you guys that
It's
are.
you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, I don't want to ever say that somebody's anger is not justified because people can be angry about whatever they want. Obviously, it doesn't bother me that somebody could have been sleeping with a reviewer to get a good score. But somebody could take that and that might legitimately like make them feel like they've been hurt somehow. That's fine. But which is like you said, but to outlash like that, is just
you can say
unreal.
You can say everything within the realm of the hate world. But once you leave the hate world and you enter the threat world where you're threatening someone's life.
Oh my God.
And whether it's just some 12-year-old at home saying I'm going to fucking kill you, it's still a threat. And it's 2014. People say things less than that and then follow through with it.
Right.
So, I mean, you have to realize the world that we're living in now, this is the way society is now. You just can't say things like that anymore. You can't. Because people, even though Zoe Quinn and Anita themselves are probably saying most of these threats are probably just bogus.
Right.
They still have to take them seriously because people are crazy.
Because there is a small percentage of people who will actually go and like hate rape her corpse.
Yeah, you know what?
I mean, like,
I'll say this, a real world thing, a real life thing that happened to my wife and I. A death threat was made against my wife and some of her coworkers by one of their customers. It was investigated. The guy was followed, and it turned out to be very bogus. He did make a threat on her office and her in particular, and some of her coworkers. They knew that this guy wasn't going to do anything at all. But the fact that he made the threat and it was a very real threat, the police were involved in everything like that, but that was still very scary. And for that weekend that we were home, we didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And any car that drove by real slow in front of our house, I was like, what the fuck? Why are they driving so slow in front of the house? Like, we were still kind of paranoid. And that was one threat made by a completely insane person.
Right.
Imagine
so was
if you
he
have
arrested?
No, he never. Well, he was the police went after him. He was out of state. He made a threat over the phone. It was a kind of a messy thing. It really sucked, but that was one guy. Imagine if you have 1 million people making death threats on your life.
And unfortunately, like, this isn't the first time that we've heard this too. Like, I can remember as far back as when I think it was Mass Effect 3, before it came out, one of the lead writers was a female on staff, and she was like super harassed because she was a woman and because she made some comments about how she just wanted to play the game for the story. And like, she was, again, it was death threats, it was rape threats, it was like all these things. Same thing with the guy at Microsoft. Remember the guy who said #deal with it?
Yeah.
And his family, he received death threats about him and his family. And he was just like, like, this is, I understand that the majority of these are fake, but like, this is uncalled for, like,
it's insane.
And then the same thing happened. Phil Fish, like, if I was in Phil Fish's position, I'd probably be I'd feel the same way he does. Be like, this is not worth it for me.
No.
Like, I'm making a video game for people to enjoy.
Right.
Like, I don't need to get death threats. And so, unfortunately, I don't know what it is about
it's just
people in.
It's just that very vocal minority of
Super
internet
minority.
trolls, video game trolls that like to make threats, and it sucks, and no one deserves it. Zoe doesn't deserve it. Anita Sarkeesian doesn't deserve it. No matter, you can think what you want of those people, and you can say everything you want and all the hateful things you want to say, but it needs to stop once it goes to, killing somebody threatening to, any sort of bodily harm against those people. That's unacceptable.
Oh, yeah.
And it's now spun off. It's gone even deeper than this. And there's, conspiracy theories that are spinning around. And, Zoe herself has kind of contributed to some of this as well. Mm-hmm. I've stopped following it. Really, the best thing with Gamergate is to just not look into it. Don't get involved in it. Don't participate in it. And if you're curious about it, sure, you can read about it.
Right.
But I promise you it's going to be the most frustrating and confusing read you'll ever have in your life.
And just flat out scary.
Because sorting it out is very difficult. And, you're going to read some very messed up graphic things. So people just please cool it out there with the hate.
Yeah, just
calm your shit.
Just move on. Just move on.
Yeah, you can be
Keep
mad.
calm and play a game.
Yeah, you can be mad. Just please stop with the hate fucking stuff.
Yeah, no
God.
hate fucking please.
All right. Let's see. Moving on. The very last thing we want to talk about here in the retro recap, a very special birthday. The Sega Dreamcast is 15 years old.
Oh my
Only
god.
15. Doesn't
Yeah,
that seem
only-
older than 15 years old?
It kind of does. It celebrated its birthday on September 9th. Now, that was the U.S. release for the Dreamcast, September 9th of 1999. Now, it was released in Japan, in November 27th of 1998. So it was in Japan for almost a year before it was in the U.S.
Home turf.
Yeah, exactly. But the Dreamcast itself, it holds up. It holds up. I don't know. When's the last time you played a Dreamcast?
Probably at your place. So
Yeah.
not super recently, but
Yeah, it's a great system. It still looks as good as it did back in the day.
the controller's awesome.
Oh, the controller's great. The games look good. It's a great piece of hardware. I mean, the fact that you can run homebrewed software on it, you can hack the thing. I mean, you can do a number of things with it. It's an incredible piece of hardware, and it really changed video games. It's sad that it was the swan song of Sega.
Right.
It was the final console from Sega. But man, did they nail it with that one. And the Dreamcast lives on to this day in the form of the Xbox. For those of you, and we've talked about it, many times on this podcast before, but the Xbox or the Dreamcast, when that was released, it had a form of Windows running on it called Windows CE, which was developed by Microsoft. Mm-hmm. Once Sega went out of the console hardware business, the developers of the Dreamcast, especially the Microsoft folks, really liked what they had done with the Dreamcast and carried on and produced the original Xbox to compete against the PlayStation, which is what we now have today, the Xbox versus PlayStation. So the Dreamcast, in a way, lives on in the Xbox One.
And in our hearts.
Yep, and in our hearts. So I love the Dreamcast. I played it religiously for years and years and years. I still enjoy the Dreamcast. To this day, I have finally a Hello Kitty Dreamcast in my collection now, thanks to Angel Baker, that I celebrate. It's in a glass display case at home. I proudly display.
We love your glass gaming case. I mean, like the glass case. 'Cause that was an IKEA gift.
Yeah,
right?
well, I got that idea from Chris, friend of the podcast, friend of Planet Arbitrary.
Because, so Chris and then you have a glass case. And if you look to your immediate right, we have quite a collection of Legos
Yeah,
that
you
we
do.
would like
It's
to get
serious.
a glass case for.
Oh, you
'cause
should. You should.
Glass case is just classy as fuck.
And then
It's
people don't touch them.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's just,
it's $60. $60 for one of
That's
those
it?
things. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Classy as fuck and only
Yeah.
$60. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. There's a nice little IKEA sells a nice little LED light setup for it. That's super.
wow.
Nice.
That's super easy to put in.
Perfect.
So mine's all lit up and pretty, and I've got the Dreamcast right on the top shelf.
Nice.
So and it's pink and see through, so the light goes through it and kind of
my God.
makes it glow a little bit.
So that's what we're going to do on Sunday is
Love it.
Very easy to put
IKEA.
together.
Guess we need new candles.
They say that you need two people to put that glass display case together, but
perfect.
I did it by
1,
myself.
2.
Huh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I
Anthony,
managed to.
you're on your own.
Yeah, I pulled it off. It's pretty easy. So
Dreamcast question for you.
yes.
What is your favorite Dreamcast game?
Oh my god, I was worried you were gonna ask me that.
Please don't say it's the track and field game. No, is that Xbox?
Yeah, no, that's
Dreamcast.
Dreamcast, and that was Virtua Athlete.
That's it. Please don't say
It is one of my favorites.
No, it's
I think all the Street Fighters are really good. I'd have to say the number one. I hate to be that guy. It might have to be a tie,
be that guy.
and it's two very simple, easy to play games, and it has to be Tony Hawk Pro Skater
Okay.
and Crazy Taxi.
perfect answers. Great answers.
Yeah. What about?
Crazy Taxi for sure.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2.
Uh-huh.
Not 2. I'm sorry. Resident Evil Code Veronica.
Yes.
That was like one of the first games that I played on that, where I was just like, wow, these graphics are amazing. Because they did such a good job with that. But then, yeah, Crazy Taxi was just incredible.
Yeah.
So many hours.
It looks so good. The soundtrack is great. I mean, it
It's
holds
like 4 songs on repeat.
Yeah, I mean, and you play Dreamcast now, you're really not making a huge leap into the past graphically. I mean,
you're not.
You play games like Hydro Thunder, which is an amazing game, even though it's just boat racing. It's so good.
Yeah.
It looks great on the Dreamcast. I mean, a lot of the arcade games that were ported to the Dreamcast look almost identical. I mean, they're great. And then all the fighting games are amazing on Dreamcast. So, I mean, it's just really, it was ahead of its time. It's really sad that it didn't do very well when it was at retail after launch. I know the PlayStation really just killed it, but when I look at Dreamcast and I look at PlayStation, the Dreamcast by far is better. And even you can compare the Dreamcast to PS2. I mean, the PS2 is great, but the Dreamcast just really looks good. I mean, if you're into sports games, Dreamcast had the best sports games. I mean, the 2K sports games were born on Dreamcast. NFL 2K, NBA 2K, those games are awesome. So yeah, happy birthday to the Dreamcast.
Happy
birthday.
15th birthday, Dreamcast.
We will eat some cake for you.
Yeah. So, and that about does it for this episode, number 51. Just kind of a nice mellow, back in the grind of things. Yeah.
I feel good to be back in the habit.
Yeah, it's nice.
Sister
Mike and
Act
Sister
2.
Act 2.
Good one.
Oh my God, we're nerds.
Nerd alert.
And here's to 49 more episodes.
Oh, hell yeah.
The March for 100.
Big Hondo.
Yeah, so all right, well, guys, thanks for listening to this episode number 51. Be sure to check out PlanetArbitrary.com for all your Planet Arbitrary needs. Check out our sister podcast, Game Classy, with Joe and Steve. All your tabletop gaming needs. I know they've been doing a lot of stuff with Dungeons & Dragons and the new Player's Handbook, so you can find that on PlanetArbitrary.com. Be sure to follow check out all the podcasts on iTunes. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe on iTunes. You can follow us on Stitcher Radio. You can follow us on Podomatic. You can check out playon.podomatic.com. You can check us out there if that's where you'd like to follow us. Be sure to check us out on Twitter. You can follow me at Pat's Game Reviews. You can follow Anthony.
Snoogans to you.
You can follow the podcast at Playon Podcast, and Annie is at a USPS mailbox.
It's fine.
P.O. Box.
Let me see. And then also be sure to check out Reddit, Our Game Collecting. Sorry, no nude celebrity photos are there.
And you know what? If you're weird like me, check out
No, don't.
Cute Female Corpses.
No.
That is...
Don't ever recommend anybody go to that.
I'm
dark.
just saying it exists.
No.
That
Go
is
to...
dark.
Okay, so
Go
and then
to our...
after you look at Cute Female Corpses, then go to a subreddit called Eye Bleach. And
No, stop it.
that sounds bad, but Eye Bleach is like all these really cute things.
Just go to children
Cute
falling
puppies.
over.
And, then go to Children Falling Over.
Go to Where Did the Soda Go? That's a great one.
I've never been
Is
to
that
that
like
one.
Space Sticks?
No, it's people that are from infomercials that can't use a screwdriver properly, or
Things are difficult.
very funny. It's a lot of people that are like, spilling pop and then saying thanks, Obama. It's very funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at that
It's
one
good
tonight.
stuff. And then also be sure to check out GameCollecting.net. All of our friends at GameCollecting.net and the Game Collecting Roundtable podcast that they have as well. Be sure to check that out. All our friends over at GameCollecting.net. UGR Gaming. Be sure to check out UGR. I know I'm probably forgetting something.
Flipboard.
Oh, the Flipboard. You can follow along with the podcast on Flipboard on your mobile device. Everything we talk about on the podcast, you can find on Flipboard, along with anything else we find interesting in the world of gaming. We put it up on the Flipboard. If you want to read into more things about Gamergate, we've put some of the articles up there. So if you dare venture into that, you can get some more information on that as well, along with everything else we talk about on the podcast. That's on Flipboard.
Except for Cute Female Corpses.
Yeah,
Except for Turnip.
And that's it, guys. So we will see you next time.
Love you, bitch.
Play on.
Play on.
Play on.